The stars glimmered like scattered jewels across the dark sky. From the small observation station on the edge of Earth's orbit, Nilo stared at the screen that showed signals from the far reaches of the galaxy. He had been tracking unusual transmissions for months, but tonight something different appeared. A signal came, strong and urgent, almost as if it carried a voice that wanted to be heard. Nilo leaned closer, his heart beating faster. It was a language he had never heard before, rhythmic and complex, full of tones that shifted like waves. His fingers danced over the console, decoding patterns, matching sequences. After minutes that felt like hours, the meaning began to appear. It was a cry for help. A civilization far away was sending a message that they were in danger. "They are asking for help," Nilo whispered to himself, his eyes wide. He felt a strange pull, a connection he could not explain. This was no ordinary signal. It was a call from a world desperate to survive. Nilo knew that the decision would not be simple. Humanity had never responded to alien cries before. Some leaders believed that interfering in distant conflicts could bring danger. Others thought it was a chance to show that humans were a force for good. Nilo's supervisor, Commander Rhea, entered the room, her expression tense. "Nilo, what do you have?" she asked. "I think it is a distress signal," Nilo replied, "from a planet in the Zarella system. They are asking for help. Their civilization is in danger." Rhea frowned. "How can you be sure?" Nilo showed her the translated patterns. "The language is complex, but it is clear. They are facing extinction. Their planet is dying. They need allies." Commander Rhea looked at him silently, her mind racing. "You understand the risks. We do not know who else is listening to this signal." "It could be a trap," Nilo nodded. "I know, but they are desperate. If we do not help, they may disappear forever." The room was quiet. Outside, the stars blinked calmly, unaware of the conversation below. The idea of sending humans to another galaxy was daunting. The technology existed for fast travel, but it was untested for such a distant journey. There were dangers of cosmic storms, unknown alien life, and hostile forces. Yet the cry carried a sense of urgency that could not be ignored. In the next few hours, Nilo gathered a small team. Each member had unique skills. Tariq, an engineer who could repair anything. Mara, a biologist who studied life forms, and Soren, a pilot who had navigated the most dangerous asteroid fields. Together, they formed a small unit ready to act where the rest of humanity hesitated. Nilo explained the mission to them. "We are going to the Zarella system. We do not know exactly what we will find, but these beings are asking for help. They are counting on us. We must go." The team listened, their faces serious. They all knew the risks, but something in Nilo's voice inspired courage. They agreed without hesitation. Meanwhile, on Earth, strange things began to happen. In the deep forests of South America, enormous shadows moved silently. Animals acted nervously, as if sensing a disturbance. In the oceans, massive waves rose for no reason, and creatures long thought extinct emerged from the depths. Scientists were baffled, but Nilo had an idea. The signal might not only reach humans, it could affect all living beings on the planet. One night, Nilo went to the observation deck alone. The sky was filled with stars, and the hum of the station surrounded him. Suddenly, he felt a vibration beneath his feet. The ground seemed to respond to something far away, something calling for strength. It was as if Earth itself had heard the alien cry and was preparing for what was to come. Back at the station, the team worked on their spacecraft. It was not an ordinary ship. It was equipped to travel faster than light, reinforced for cosmic storms, and able to carry a small number of passengers along with advanced technology for communication and defense. As they prepared, the creatures on Earth continued to awaken. A massive winged beast named Gravax rose from the mountains, watching the sky with intelligent eyes. It did not roar or attack. It waited, as if it understood the signal that humans had just discovered. Nilo visited Gravax, standing at the edge of the mountain. The creature's enormous wings stretched wide, casting shadows in the moonlight. Its eyes met Nilo's, sharp and curious. For a moment, there was understanding without words. The creature seemed to acknowledge that humans were about to step into a much larger universe. "We are not alone," Nilo said softly, almost to himself, "and we are not helpless." The first stage of the journey was testing the new ship. Nilo and his team spent weeks in simulations preparing for cosmic storms, alien attacks, and unknown dangers. Every day they checked equipment, ran drills, and studied the alien language. Mara focused on understanding possible alien life, trying to predict how the Varelians might communicate once they arrived. Tariq strengthened the ship, ensuring that it could survive unexpected impacts or attacks. Soren practiced navigating through asteroid belts and energy storms. Finally, the day came to leave Earth. The team boarded the spacecraft. Greyvax and a few other awakened monsters followed, guided by a strange loyalty to humans. As the ship launched, the creatures watched silently. Humans looked back at the shrinking Earth below. Nilo felt a mixture of fear and hope. This was the first time humans would respond to a call from another galaxy. In the first hours of travel, the team encountered their first challenge. Cosmic radiation waves blocked their path, forcing the ship to take an unexpected route. Nilo worked with Tariq to reroute the ship's energy shields. Mara monitored the monsters, ensuring they were calm and ready. Soren adjusted the navigation, dodging dangerous energy clouds. Together, they overcame the challenge, realizing that teamwork between humans and Earth's monsters could become a powerful force. As they traveled, Nilo studied the distress signal more closely. He discovered hidden layers in the communication, messages of fear, hope, and trust. The Varelians were not only asking for help, they were sharing their knowledge. Nilo realized that if humanity succeeded, they would not just save a civilization, they would gain allies and insights that could change life on Earth forever. At night, inside the spacecraft, Nilo looked at the stars through the observation window. He felt a strange connection to the distant world, imagining the lives of the beings who had sent the signal. He thought of the monsters waiting on Earth, awakened by a call no one else could hear. Something larger than humanity was at work, something that linked all living things across the galaxy. The journey was long, but hope kept the team moving forward. They shared stories of Earth, of monsters, and of courage. They laughed, planned, and sometimes worried, but never doubted their mission. Nilo often reminded them, "They are counting on us, and we must not fail." Days passed, and as the spacecraft crossed uncharted regions of space, Nilo realized that humanity's role was changing. No longer were they just explorers or observers. They were protectors, ready to step into a galaxy where life was fragile and survival was uncertain. And the monsters of Earth, once hidden and feared, had awakened as guardians, responding to a call that transcended worlds. When the first signs of the Varelian system appeared on their sensors, the team grew quiet. The distant planets glowed softly, alive with energy. They did not know what awaited them, but Nilo felt a surge of determination. They would meet the Varelians. They would stand by them, and they would show that humanity with courage and loyalty could rise to challenges across the stars. Nilo turned to his team and said, "We are not just answering a signal. We are answering a call for hope, and hope is something we can never fail to give." Outside the spacecraft, the stars stretched endlessly. Earth's monsters watched from a distance, silent and alert. Somewhere across the galaxy, the Varelians waited, unaware that their cry had reached ears ready to act. And thus the journey began. A journey that would test humans, awaken monsters, and prove that courage could travel faster than light. The earth beneath them was calm in appearance, but something had begun to stir. Forests that had been quiet for centuries suddenly echoed with deep rumbles. The ocean shifted strangely, as if creatures long hidden were stirring from ancient slumbers. Nilo and his team felt the change even aboard the spacecraft. The instruments showed unusual energy fluctuations emanating from the planet itself. It was as if the distress signal from the distant Varelian civilization had awakened forces on Earth that no human had ever truly understood. In the mountains of the northern continent, a massive figure emerged from the mist. Greyvax, the enormous winged creature, had risen fully into the air. Its wings were stronger and wider than any bird ever known, and its eyes gleamed with intelligence. The rise of Greyvax was not alone. Other beings, long hidden beneath Earth's oceans and dense forests, began to emerge. Giant aquatic predators lifted themselves from the depths, their sleek bodies cutting through the water with precision. Enormous land creatures, some covered with thick armor-like skin, moved with calculated steps toward the open plains. The scientists aboard the spacecraft observed these events in awe. Mara's eyes widened as she studied the behavior of these creatures. "They are responding to the same signal we decoded," she said. "It is not random. They are aware of the call for help. Their instincts are guiding them. They are awakening to protect life beyond our planet." Nilo's jaw tightened with determination. Then we are not alone in this. The creatures of Earth are rising as allies. They understand the importance of the mission even without words. Back on Earth, the news outlets were beginning to report strange sightings. Farmers, fishermen, and explorers captured glimpses of creatures thought to be myths. People panicked at first, but Nilo's team knew the truth. These monsters were not hostile. They were waiting, watching, and preparing to act when the moment came. The team had spent weeks preparing for this mission, but they had not anticipated that the awakening of these creatures would occur so early. They had relied on the monsters for support, but the full scope of their power was only now becoming clear. Greyvax, for example, demonstrated remarkable intelligence. It understood gestures and simple commands. When Nilo extended a hand in greeting, the creature responded with a deep, resonating sound that seemed almost like a word. Tariq, the engineer, studied the patterns of movement among the monsters. They are organizing themselves, he said. It is as if they understand strategy. They are not chaotic. They are preparing for something bigger, and it is connected to the signal we received. The team realized that the creatures could serve as more than just protection. They could become guides, scouts, and even partners in navigating dangers that humans could not anticipate. The Varelian cry had triggered a response that extended beyond technology or communication. It had awakened the hidden strengths of Earth itself. As the spacecraft prepared to leave Earth orbit, Nilo addressed the creatures that had gathered around the launch site. "We are going to another world," he said. "A world in need of help. We cannot do it alone, but together we can succeed. Will you stand with us?" Greyvax spread its wings, letting out a sound that echoed across the valleys. Other creatures responded with roars, calls, and movements. It was a confirmation. They would follow, and they would fight if necessary. Humanity had gained allies that were more than animals. They were guardians, awakened by a force that spanned the galaxy. The first stage of the journey began smoothly, with the spacecraft lifting off and leaving Earth behind. But soon the team faced challenges that tested the bond between humans and monsters. Cosmic storms appeared along their path, sending energy waves that could damage the ship's shields. Greyvax and other monsters, placed strategically on the spacecraft's defensive platforms, reacted instinctively. Their strength and speed allowed them to manipulate parts of the ship, adjusting panels and deflecting minor debris with precision. Soren, the pilot, marveled at the coordination. "I have never seen anything like this," he said. "They understand what needs to be done. It is as if they know the risks and are willing to take action before we even realize the danger." Mara worked closely with the monsters, communicating using gestures and simple sounds. She discovered that each creature had its own way of understanding humans. Greyvax seemed to respond to tone and body language, while aquatic creatures were more sensitive to vibrations. Land-based monsters reacted to movement and environmental cues. Together, they formed a team that was greater than the sum of its parts. The journey through the uncharted regions of space revealed new wonders and dangers. Meteor showers appeared unexpectedly, and gravitational anomalies threatened to pull the spacecraft off course. Yet the monsters adapted quickly, using instincts that humans could not replicate. They formed protective barriers, guided the ship's instruments, and even helped Nilo and his team anticipate problems before they occurred. During one particularly dangerous moment, a cluster of energy storms appeared directly in their path. The team had little time to respond. Nilo called to Greyvax, and the winged creature swooped around the ship, creating a protective wind tunnel that deflected charged particles. Land monsters adjusted mechanical arms and instruments, reinforcing weakened sections of the ship. Even aquatic creatures floating in specialized tanks emitted bioelectric pulses that stabilized energy fields. The combined effort allowed the spacecraft to pass safely, leaving the team in awe. As they traveled farther from Earth, Nilo began to feel the connection between humans and monsters more strongly. The creatures were not simply following commands. They understood purpose, loyalty, and courage. They were allies in the truest sense, ready to act when needed and capable of thinking beyond instinct alone. The team also discovered a subtle bond among the monsters themselves. Greyvax communicated with smaller winged creatures using patterns of sound and movement. Land-based creatures coordinated with aquatic monsters, forming networks that mirrored human strategies. Mara realized that these beings, once thought to be primitive, possessed intelligence that rivaled the early stages of human civilization. During rest periods, Nilo and his team reflected on the journey so far. We underestimated Earth, Nilo said. We thought of ourselves as the top of the chain. But these creatures show us that life is more complex than we imagined. We are all part of a larger system, and now we see what happens when that system awakens. Tariq nodded. They are proving themselves as partners, not tools. It changes everything about how we see our role in the galaxy, Soren added. And it gives us hope. If creatures from Earth can respond to a call from another world, then anything is possible. The days passed and the spacecraft neared the Virelian system. The team prepared for the first contact, training with the monsters to coordinate strategies and responses. Greyvax and other creatures became more confident, learning to interpret signals and actions from humans. Each member of the team realized that the monsters were more than companions. They were extensions of human courage and creativity, capable of acting in ways humans could not alone. One evening, as the team observed the approaching Virelian planets, Mara noticed subtle energy patterns in the atmosphere. They are preparing for us, she said. The Virelians may sense the monsters. They are responding to our presence before we even land. Nilo felt a sense of awe. This is bigger than a rescue mission. This is a meeting of civilizations, a test of strength, courage, and understanding, and we have allies we never imagined. The monsters, sensing the excitement and anticipation, became more active. Greyvax circled the ship, letting out sounds that vibrated through the spacecraft. Land monsters moved with precise coordination, and aquatic creatures swam energetically in their tanks, creating currents that energized the ship's systems. It was as if the entire team, human and monster alike, were ready for what awaited them. As they approached the first planet of the Virelian system, the team prepared to land. Nilo looked at the stars, thinking of the cries that had reached Earth, of the awakening monsters, and of the civilization that waited for help. He knew that the bond between humans and monsters would be tested. Their loyalty, intelligence, and courage would play a critical role in what was to come. Finally, the moment arrived. The spacecraft descended toward the alien planet. The monsters, fully awake and alert, positioned themselves to support the humans. Nilo gave a signal, and the team moved in perfect coordination with their allies. This was the beginning of a new chapter, where Earth's hidden strengths, once overlooked, would prove that humanity could rise to challenges across the galaxy. The Virelian world awaited, glowing softly under distant suns. And the monsters of Earth, awakened by a cry that spanned light years, prepared to show that courage and loyalty could unite beings from different worlds. Together, humans and monsters would face whatever dangers lay ahead, proving that life on Earth had powers far greater than anyone had imagined. The Virelian system stretched before the spacecraft like a jewel-filled sky. Planets glowed with strange colors. Moons orbited in silent harmony, and streams of energy pulsed between celestial bodies. Nilo and his team felt a mixture of awe and caution. They had traveled far from Earth, and now they were entering a region of space that no human had ever seen. Greyvax soared near the spacecraft, its massive wings slicing through the thin atmosphere of a small gas cloud. Land monsters remained on specially reinforced decks, watching for any signs of danger. Aquatic creatures swam in biocontainment tanks that simulated their ocean environments, their eyes following every movement. The team realized that the monsters were not simply passive companions. They were alert, aware, and ready to act if the unknown threatened them. This region is unstable, Soren said, examining the navigation console. Energy storms are forming ahead. They could damage the ship if we are not careful. Tariq adjusted the ship's shields, using the monster's abilities to reinforce protection. Greyvax can help. Its wings generate powerful wind currents. If we synchronize with the shields, we can navigate through the storm safely. Nilo nodded. Let's do it. Everyone, stay focused. This is the first real test of our team. As they moved forward, the energy storms grew more intense. Lightning-like pulses of blue energy crackled in space, threatening to strike the spacecraft. Greyvax dove toward the outer shields, using its wings to create turbulence that dispersed the energy pulses. Land monsters adjusted mechanical arms, deflecting small debris. Even the aquatic creatures contributed, emitting bioelectric currents that stabilized sections of the ship's systems. Mara watched in amazement. They are working as one. Humans and monsters together. We could not have managed this alone. The team pressed on, weaving through the storms. Every successful maneuver increased their confidence. They began to trust the monsters not just as allies, but as partners capable of independent thought and action. It was a revelation. Earth's hidden strengths were no longer hidden. They were alive, awake, and capable of incredible feats. After hours of navigating the turbulence, the storm cleared. The spacecraft entered a calmer region of space near a small planet with shimmering blue oceans. Sensors detected signs of life. "We are not the first visitors here," Nilo said, studying the readings. "There is intelligent activity. We need to be cautious. We do not know how they will react to us." The team prepared for the first contact. Nilo reviewed the plan. "We approach carefully. Greyvax and the land monsters will provide protection, but we should try to communicate peacefully. This is the first impression we make. It matters." As the spacecraft descended toward the planet, strange structures appeared on the surface. Towers of light and energy stretched into the sky. Moving shapes glided between them. The Varelians had built a civilization that blended with the planet's natural features. The team was awestruck. Mara whispered, "They are advanced, but their technology seems harmonious with life. It is beautiful." Suddenly, a group of fast-moving ships appeared above the planet. Sensors identified them as Zeltrons, a hostile species known to attack civilizations they considered weak. Nilo's heart pounded. "They see us. Prepare for defense. Monsters, be ready." Greyvax roared, a sound that resonated through the ship. Its wings flared with energy, creating a protective barrier. Land monsters positioned themselves along the ship's exterior, using strength and agility to shield weak points. Aquatic creatures emitted pulses of electricity that interfered with incoming energy weapons. Soren maneuvered the spacecraft with precision, dodging attacks while keeping the monsters coordinated. "We can get through this if we work together," he shouted. The Zeltrons fired again, but the combined power of humans and monsters was overwhelming. Greyvax's wings deflected energy blasts, while land monsters dismantled mechanical attackers with brute strength. Aquatic creatures disrupted enemy systems with precise electric pulses. Slowly, the Zeltrons began to retreat, surprised by the unexpected alliance. Nilo exhaled, his face a mix of relief and excitement. "We made it. But this is only the beginning. We are entering a galaxy that will test every skill we have." The spacecraft landed on a plateau near the Varelian city. The surface was soft and stable, with natural energy flowing through it. Nilo led the team outside. Greyvax and other monsters followed, their presence both protective and intimidating. The Varelians appeared from the city, their tall, elegant forms glowing with faint energy. They watched the humans and monsters with curiosity and caution. One of the Varelians stepped forward. It communicated through a series of harmonic tones. Mara activated the translator device. "We are here to help," Nilo said carefully. "We received your call. We mean no harm. We want to protect you." The Varelians paused, listening. Their eyes, filled with intelligence and caution, scanned the humans and monsters. Slowly they nodded, understanding the intention. A sense of relief passed through the group. The first contact had succeeded. The Varelians led Nilo and his team through their city. The technology was unlike anything humans had seen. Energy flowed seamlessly, powering buildings and transportation. Nature was integrated into every structure. Towers grew like trees and energy streams formed patterns that seemed alive. Mara was fascinated, noting how their technology did not harm life but enhanced it. Nilo realized that this civilization was both fragile and strong. They had advanced technology, but their population was small and vulnerable to attack. That was why the cry for help had been sent. Without allies, they could not survive the Zeltrons or other hostile forces. Over the next few days, Nilo and the team learned about the Varelian society. They were skilled engineers, scientists, and philosophers. They valued harmony, intelligence, and courage. The humans shared knowledge about Earth and the monsters. At first, the Varelians were hesitant, but as they saw the monsters' loyalty and abilities, they began to understand the advantage humanity brought. Greyvax demonstrated its strength, lifting debris and clearing dangerous terrain. Land monsters worked alongside Varelian engineers to repair damaged structures. Aquatic creatures stabilized energy flows in water-based systems. The Varelians were amazed. "Your creatures are remarkable," one said. "They are not simple beings. They think, act, and understand. They are partners, not tools," Nilo nodded. "We have always underestimated Earth. These beings are more than animals. They are allies, and together we can face challenges we could not face alone." Despite this progress, the threat of the Zeltrons remained. Scouts reported approaching ships. Nilo convened a strategy meeting with his team and the Varelian leaders. "We need a plan that uses both human intelligence and the monster's strength," Nilo said. "The Zeltrons are strong, but they underestimate the power of life that fights for survival and courage." The Varelians were skeptical at first. They had relied on technology and logic for generations, but Nilo showed them simulations of the monsters in action, demonstrating how they could defend the city and repel attackers. Slowly, trust formed. They began to see that courage, loyalty, and adaptability were forces as powerful as any weapon. During training sessions, humans worked side by side with Varelian guards and monsters. Gravax coordinated attacks with precision, using movements that were impossible for any machine. Land monsters cleared obstacles and created barriers. Aquatic creatures controlled energy flows, preventing damage to infrastructure. Each action taught the Varelians a lesson about the power of collaboration. At night, Nilo reflected on the journey. The galaxy was full of dangers, but humanity had brought a unique strength. Not just technology or intelligence, but courage, loyalty, and the ability to awaken allies in unexpected ways. The monsters were proof that life on Earth had hidden power. The Varelians were proof that other civilizations could benefit from it. And together, they formed a team capable of facing anything. As the first real battle loomed, Nilo felt a surge of determination. The Zeltrons would come, testing their skills, their courage, and their unity. But humans and monsters, standing together with a civilization that had sent a cry for help across the galaxy, were ready. The stars above the Varelian city twinkled with silent anticipation. The monsters of Earth, now fully awakened, moved with purpose. Gravax soared over the city, its wings casting shadows that seemed to promise protection. Land monsters patrolled the perimeter, and aquatic creatures monitored energy channels. Nilo looked at his team, the Varelians and the creatures, and said, "We are not just visitors, we are protectors. And together, nothing can break our strength." And thus humanity's journey into the unknown continued. They had crossed light years, awakened monsters, and gained allies in a civilization far from Earth. The first steps of a larger adventure had been taken, and the galaxy awaited the courage, loyalty, and ingenuity that humans and their monstrous allies had brought into the stars. The twin suns of the Varelian system cast long shadows across the city as alarms rang out. Nilo and his team stood at the observation tower, watching a fleet of Zeltron ships advancing through space. Their sleek, dark hulls glinted ominously, and their movement was precise and aggressive. The Varelians had tried to prepare defenses, but their numbers were small. Without allies, they would not survive the attack. Nilo turned to Gravax and the other monsters. The massive winged creature spread its wings, letting out a roar that echoed across the city. Land monsters stomped the ground, shaking the terrain, while aquatic creatures in specialized tanks emitted energy pulses that fortified the city's systems. The humans had come far, but this was the ultimate test of their bond with Earth's awakened guardians. "This is it," Nilo said. "We either stand together or we fail. Everyone, get ready. Monsters, stay alert. Humans, trust them and trust each other." Soren took control of the spacecraft, which had been retrofitted for planetary defense. Its weapons system synchronized with the monster's abilities. Energy pulses from aquatic creatures strengthened the shields, while Gravax's wings created gusts that could deflect incoming projectiles. Land monsters patrolled key points, ready to strike at anything that breached the perimeter. The first wave of Zeltron fighters descended, firing energy beams toward the city. Humans operated the ship's defenses, but the monsters were the first line of defense. Gravax swooped through the sky, knocking out smaller ships with precise strikes. Its massive claws tore through armored hulls, while powerful wings created shockwaves that disrupted enemy formations. Land monsters acted like living siege engines, using immense strength to destroy enemy machines that had landed on the ground. Their movements were coordinated, almost tactical, as if they understood the larger plan without instruction. The humans adapted to their speed and intelligence, guiding their actions with subtle gestures and commands. In the city, Varelian engineers activated defensive turrets, but they were slow compared to the monsters' quick responses. Aquatic creatures floating in energy tanks sent controlled pulses into the city's energy grid. These pulses amplified shield strength and interfered with Zeltron targeting systems. Together, humans, monsters, and Varelians formed a defense unlike anything the attackers had anticipated. The Zeltrons were relentless. Their larger ships began targeting the city's energy cores, attempting to disable defenses. Nilo knew this was the critical moment. "Greyvax, focus on the larger ships," he shouted. The winged monster rose higher, its eyes locked on the enemy flagship. With a surge of power, it dove, striking the ship with enough force to disable its engines. Land monsters intercepted smaller assault vehicles, tearing them apart with precision. Aquatic creatures pulsed electricity at Zeltron control systems, causing temporary malfunctions. Mara coordinated with the Varelian engineers, using the monster's abilities to amplify the city's shields. Slowly, the tide of battle began to shift. Nilo realized that this was not just a fight for survival. It was a demonstration of humanity's unique strengths. The Zeltrons relied on technology and strategy, but they underestimated the unpredictable courage of living beings. Humans had brought intelligence, monsters had brought instinct and strength, and together, they created a force that could turn the battle. Soren maneuvered the spacecraft in a daring attack. Using the monster's movements as cover, he flew through a cluster of enemy ships, disabling weapons with precise strikes. Greyvax followed, smashing through the enemy fleet with overwhelming force. Land monsters joined, creating chaos among the Zeltron ranks. Even smaller, seemingly weaker monsters contributed, using speed and cunning to harass enemy units. The Varelians watched in awe. Their civilization had relied on technology, but they had never seen such cooperation. "Humans and their creatures," one Varelian said. "They are remarkable. They fight with courage and intelligence. They do not rely solely on machines." As the battle continued, the Zeltron flagship attempted a desperate maneuver. It aimed directly for the city's energy core. Nilo knew that if it succeeded, the city would fall. "Everyone focus!" he shouted. Greyvax and the largest land monsters moved to intercept. The winged creature collided with the flagship, shaking it violently. Land monsters used their strength to destabilize the ship's landing gear, preventing it from reaching the core. Aquatic creatures sent a massive pulse of energy that short-circuited the Zeltron control systems. The flagship tumbled, disabled, and enemy morale began to falter. Smaller Zeltron ships retreated as their leaders fell. The city had survived. The humans, monsters, and Varelians had proven that unity and courage could overcome even the most technologically advanced threats. After the battle, Nilo surveyed the city. Fires burned in some areas, but the monsters and humans worked quickly to stabilize structures. Varelians assisted, and together they repaired damage that would have taken months under ordinary circumstances. Mara studied the monsters' techniques, taking notes for future strategy. She realized that Earth's creatures could teach lessons in resilience, adaptation, and courage that no technology alone could provide. Greyvax landed near Nilo, breathing heavily, but alert. The bond between human and monster had deepened. Nilo placed a hand on its massive head. "We could not have done this without you," he said. The winged creature responded with a low, resonating sound, a signal of loyalty and understanding. Tariq examined the spacecraft and city systems. "The Zeltrons underestimated us," he said. "They did not expect courage or intelligence combined with raw power." "They will remember this day," Soren smiled, "and we will be ready if they return. Humans and monsters together are a force they cannot ignore." The Varelians held a ceremony to honor their new allies. Humans, monsters, and Varelians stood together, a symbol of unity and hope. Nilo gave a speech. "Today we faced danger and survived. Today we proved that courage, loyalty, and intelligence are more powerful than any weapon alone. We have shown that even from a small planet like Earth, beings can rise to meet challenges across the galaxy." The Varelians cheered, and Greyvax roared in agreement. Land monsters stomped the ground in rhythm, and aquatic creatures pulsed energy in celebration. The message was clear. Life, when united, could achieve the impossible. As the celebrations continued, Nilo reflected on the journey. The galaxy was dangerous, but humans had proven that they were not helpless observers. They could inspire courage, awaken allies, and protect civilizations beyond their own. The monsters of Earth had shown their value not as weapons, but as partners. Together, they had changed the course of history. Yet Nilo knew the fight was not over. The Zeltrons were still a threat, and other unknown dangers could appear at any time. Humanity's role in the galaxy had grown. They were no longer just explorers. They were protectors, leaders, and allies in a universe where courage and loyalty mattered as much as technology. As night fell on the Varelian city, Nilo looked at the stars. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting golden light over the repaired buildings. Gravex perched on a high tower, wings folded but ready. Land monsters patrolled silently, and aquatic creatures rested, their energy still active. The humans gathered with the Varelians, planning the next steps. Nilo knew that the bonds forged in battle would guide the future. The monsters of Earth had awakened at the right moment. Humans had chosen to act when others hesitated, and together they had saved a civilization that had cried across the galaxy. The night was calm, but the stars above hinted at challenges to come. Nilo felt a mix of pride and responsibility. They had proven that courage could travel across light years. They had shown that life in all its forms could rise to meet any threat. And they had begun a journey that would reshape humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The battle was won, but the adventure was far from over. The Zeltrons might return and other dangers awaited. Yet humans, monsters, and Varelians now stood together. They had proven that unity, loyalty, and courage could overcome even the most powerful enemies. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a new force, one that would not be ignored. Nilo turned to Gravex and the other monsters. "You have done more than we could have imagined," he said. "We are stronger together, and this is only the beginning." The monsters responded with sounds, movements, and energy pulses, acknowledging the truth of Nilo's words. The humans felt a new confidence. The Varelians smiled with hope. Across the city, life thrummed with renewed energy. Earth's monsters had risen. Humans had proven their worth, and the galaxy would remember this day as the moment courage and loyalty changed the course of history. The battle had ended, but the aftermath remained. The Varelian city was scarred from the Zeltron attack, though not broken. Fires smoldered in places, energy conduits sparked, and damaged structures leaned precariously. Nilo and his team walked through the city alongside Gravex, land monsters, and Varelian engineers. The city was alive with activity as everyone worked together to restore what had been damaged. "This is incredible," Mara said, examining the repairs. "We are seeing collaboration like nothing else in the galaxy. Humans, monsters, and Varelians working as one. It is beautiful," Nilo smiled. "We did not just fight a battle. We have built trust and understanding. This will last far longer than any single fight." Gravex perched on a high building, its eyes scanning the horizon. The winged monster had become a symbol of protection and loyalty. Land monsters carried heavy debris away from collapsed buildings, their immense strength reshaping rubble into stable structures. Aquatic creatures moved through energy channels, restoring flow and reinforcing shield grids. Each creature's contribution was vital, and the humans coordinated their actions seamlessly. In the central plaza, the Varelian Council gathered. They had invited Nilo, his team, and the monsters to witness a ceremony honoring the defenders. The plaza was filled with citizens, young and old, all watching the display of courage and loyalty that had saved their world. One Varelian spoke, their voice melodic and calm. "Today we celebrate life, courage, and unity. We honor the humans who traveled across the galaxy to answer our cry. We honor the creatures of Earth who fought with wisdom and strength, and we honor the spirit that binds us all together." Nilo stepped forward, standing with Gravex at his side. "We did not act alone," he said. "Humans, monsters, and Varelians worked together. This day is not just about survival. It is about the choice to help, to protect, and to rise above fear. The galaxy is vast, but courage travels faster than light. Let us remember that we are stronger together." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Gravex roared in response, a sound that carried across the city. Land monsters stamped the ground, shaking the plaza in rhythm. Aquatic creatures pulsed energy through the plaza's systems, lighting the area in a celebration of color and movement. The humans and Varelians shared glances of pride and hope. As the celebrations continued, Nilo reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The cry across the galaxy had awakened not only the monsters of Earth, but also a deeper understanding within humanity. They had learned that courage, loyalty, and intelligence could overcome the most dangerous threats. They had seen that life on Earth had strengths beyond what had ever been imagined, and they had discovered that bonds formed across worlds could change the course of history. During the days that followed, humans and monsters helped the Varelians rebuild more than just structures. They shared knowledge of tactics, survival strategies, and technology integration. Mara worked with Varelian scientists to study the monsters' abilities, documenting methods that could enhance planetary defenses without harming life. Tariq assisted in creating hybrid systems, where human engineering complemented Varelian energy networks, while Soren taught pilots to maneuver alongside monsters in both space and planetary environments. The monsters, fully aware of their role, continued to assist tirelessly. Greyvax patrolled the skies, its presence a deterrent to any potential threats. Land monsters trained alongside Varelian guards, demonstrating combat techniques and rapid response strategies. Aquatic creatures maintained the energy systems, ensuring that even unexpected attacks could be handled efficiently. The humans observed and learned, realizing that Earth had given them not just allies but partners with wisdom, strength, and instinct. Nilo often walked with Greyvax to the edge of the city, looking out at the horizon. "You have taught us more than we could have imagined," he said. The winged creature responded with a soft sound, as if acknowledging the truth of Nilo's words. It was a silent promise that they would remain loyal and vigilant, guarding life wherever it was threatened. The Varelians, inspired by the humans and monsters, began to rethink their approach to survival and cooperation. They realized that courage and loyalty could be as powerful as technology. The council convened meetings to integrate the lessons learned from Earth, planning for a future where their civilization could grow stronger while remaining harmonious with life on their planet. In one council session, a young Varelian asked Nilo, "Will humans stay to help us permanently?" Nilo shook his head. "Our home is far away, but we have left a legacy. You now know that courage, loyalty, and understanding can protect your civilization. We may return if needed, but the strength you have learned to cultivate here will guide you." The young Varelian nodded thoughtfully. "Then we will honor your gift. We will protect life as you have shown us." Meanwhile, the monsters of Earth had begun to understand their place in the galaxy. Greyvax and others had traveled far from their home world, yet they had acted with loyalty and intelligence. They returned to their tasks without hesitation, aware that their bond with humans and Varelians was a connection that transcended distance or species. Nilo and his team prepared to return to Earth. Their mission to save a civilization was complete, but the lessons remained. Humans had proven that even from a single planet, life could rise to face challenges across the galaxy. They had shown that courage, loyalty, and intelligence were forces that could unite worlds. And they had awakened the monsters of Earth, revealing a hidden strength that would forever change humanity's understanding of its own planet. Before departure, Nilo addressed the Varelian Council and citizens. "We leave you with more than rebuilt structures," he said. "We leave you with the knowledge that life is strongest when it stands together. Humans, monsters, and Varelians have shown that courage can cross light years. Protect your world and protect each other." The council nodded, their energy glowing in acknowledgement. Greyvax roared one final time, and the land and aquatic monsters made gestures that echoed a promise of ongoing vigilance. It was a farewell, but also a pledge that their bond would remain unbroken. As the spacecraft lifted off, Earth's monsters watched silently. Greyvax spread its wings, circling the ship as if guiding it toward safe passage. The land monsters stomped the ground rhythmically, and aquatic creatures emitted energy pulses that resonated through the city. Humanity had returned to its home planet with a sense of accomplishment, knowing they had not only saved a civilization, but had also strengthened life itself across worlds. During the journey home, Nilo reflected on the meaning of the mission. "We have done more than help another world," he said to his team. "We have shown that courage, loyalty, and intelligence are universal strengths. We have proven that Earth has allies and powers that can influence the galaxy. And we have learned that even creatures once thought simple can teach us lessons about resilience and cooperation." The team nodded in agreement. Mara recorded her observations, detailing the interactions and abilities of the monsters for future study. Tariq noted ways to integrate Earth's creatures into defense strategies if ever needed again. Soren planned training programs for pilots to work alongside intelligent allies in future missions. Back on Earth, the monsters returned to their habitats, but their presence was forever known. Humans now understood that life on their planet held hidden power, strength, and intelligence that could rise to meet challenges anywhere in the galaxy. Greyvax perched on a high mountain watching the skies with alert eyes. Land monsters roamed forests and plains, while aquatic creatures patrolled oceans and rivers, all aware that their role as guardians was not limited to one planet. Nilo and his team arrived on Earth as heroes, but more importantly, they returned with knowledge, experience, and a deeper understanding of humanity's place in the universe. Humans were no longer just observers of distant worlds. They were protectors, innovators, and allies capable of inspiring courage and loyalty across galaxies. In the following months, the story of the Varelian rescue spread across Earth. People marveled at the courage of the humans and the power of the monsters. Scientists began to study the awakened creatures with respect and fascination. Governments considered ways to integrate lessons learned into planetary defense and exploration strategies. Humanity had changed. Nilo looked up at the stars from Earth, remembering the journey that had begun with a single cry across the galaxy. "We answered their call," he said softly. "And in doing so, we discovered what we were truly capable of. Courage, loyalty, and intelligence can travel faster than light, and life in all its forms can rise to meet the universe with strength and purpose." The monsters of Earth roamed freely, silent and vigilant. Gravex watched from the highest peaks, a guardian of the planet and a symbol of courage. Humans worked, learned, and prepared for the next challenges, knowing that they had allies and powers that would guide them in the future. And so, a new era began. A time when humanity, awakened monsters, and civilizations across the stars would remember that courage and loyalty could shape the fate of worlds. The Varelians thrived. Earth's monsters returned to their roles as guardians, and humans stood taller, wiser, and braver than ever before.